Hello there, confused listener. Are you surprised to hear this voice and to know that Swinburne Sarawak has a podcast? Well, while you let it sink in, this is not ASMR. This is a podcast about Triple SC! Surprise, surprise. Good day, beautiful organisms. I am Potato, and I like potatoes, as should you. I hope you are all safe at home and not being little gangsters, but roaming on the streets. Hashtag stay at home and save lives. This first podcast encompasses the topic of the transition from Triple SC 2019 to Triple SC 2020 and getting to know the people behind the names. In case you did not know, which is perfectly fine, Triple SC or SSSC stands for Swinburne Sarawak Student Council. We are a group of students who share the vision of being that vessel that projects the voices of our beautiful student body, comprised of people who stay at home obediently, to the upper forces. This is my first podcast. Today, joining us for our first round will be someone who is a dear friend to many, a leader to most, a man of very few words, but whose actions he lets boast. Oh my gosh, that rhymed. Mary had a little lamb who. Sorry, I was getting excited. Okay, we present ex-president of Triple SC 2019, Obaid. How are you today, Obaid?
Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
You're welcome.
I'm doing great, Corrido.
You sound a little bit sad.
No, I'm actually feeling neutral.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
neutral and excited to see what's to come.
Oh, okay. Well, how's your soul doing, though?
How's my soul doing?
Yes.
I think my soul's doing kind of okay. It's like it's not on the bad side nor on the good side. It's just neutral, just as I am.
Oh, I see. Well, I hope your soul gets to be on the better side of the spectrum, as we would call it sometime soon. Maybe that would happen if the MCO was done away with. I don't know, but everyone's complaining about the MCO now. How do you feel about the MCO?
I mean, the MCU has everyone kind of depressed, I would say.
Yeah, it does.
But some people, I mean, they've managed to find something or someone that that has them distracted.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I mean, I'm confined to a small room. I'm pretty much lying on the bed most of the time. Looking at pictures, looking through the slides. But yeah, it's not been a productive lockdown for me, especially.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, if it helps you
It's
make
alright.
feel any better, I think that you're a beautiful person and you ought to find something that makes you feel just as beautiful as you are.
Thank you so much for the kind words.
You're welcome. Don't get emotional, okay?
That's alright.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you. As normal people who are not of the elite squad of Swinburne, a lot of us did not know you before you joined Triple SC 2019 as the president. But as soon as we did get to know you, I think I speak for many people when we say we like you from the moment we met you. And that's a big first impression, of course. So, for the rest of the normal people out there who are listening, would you like to introduce yourself to make us connect with you before we begin the session?
Alright, perfect. So my full name is Obaid Rafiq John, and this is my final semester in Swinburne, sadly. I'm currently pursuing my degree in robotics and mechatronics engineering, and from Pakistan.
Ooh. You weren't raised in Pakistan, were you?
No, so I was born in UAE, a country in the Middle East,
Middle East.
and I lived 13 years of my life in UAE.
Mm-hmm.
After that, interestingly, we actually moved to Malaysia for 7 months because my brother he got posted in Malaysia. And after that, we moved back to the Gulf, but this time we moved to Qatar. So yeah, we've been living there for the good part of the last 10 years now. Yeah.
Oh, that's impressive. I didn't know that you were in Malaysia for like 7 months. That is very interesting. However, I mean, we have some South Asians up in here. Let's add some spice to the conversation, give it a little bit of a kick. Can you tell us 3 things about yourself that we did not know? And then we can get started.
Okay, so 3 things that most people know about me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, number one would be I love doing gymnastics.
No way! I was a gymnast too.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's a coincidence.
Right.
The guys that went with me to the SSSC retreat, I think when they hear this, they might recall me saying this as well.
Oh snap! That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah, so number one would be I love doing gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
I've been off from it for quite a while now, but I can still do some like basic techniques. Like I can do a handstand, I can walk, I can do a handstand walk.
Right.
I can do a headstand.
You can do like a one-hand cartwheel, right?
Yeah, cartwheel I think would be the most basic one.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say.
Yes.
Okay, so number one is I love doing gymnastics. Number two would be I love playing sports in general. So I'm a sports freak, you can say.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. And number three, I do not know.
Okay, I can help you insert something. Maybe about potatoes. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yes, I love potatoes.
Oh my god! No way! Really? That is so cool.
Yes. Potatoes, cheese, and everything nice.
Yes. Who knew that Obaid liked potatoes? Damn. But okay, I think now we all know you a little better. So thank you for opening up a side of you that we didn't know. We have to talk about gymnastics sometime when we're free. But fact, yes. Since this is about the student council transition, I wanted to talk about the inauguration of the new 2020 student council. This is something that is usually grand and spectacular. There's usually this elaborate rustic dinner with the theme, and everyone is dressed all fancy. I think you guys even had seafood when you were inaugurated, and then you have people dressed all fancy rolling up in their limos, all that jazz. This time around, it was done in a 1 hour online conference call. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, unfortunately, it did not start off as spectacularly for you guys as we all wanted to, and it did not end as well the same way. It was quite emotional and sad for me, in the sense that we were ending our term,
right,
and it was the same feeling for you guys as well, because you guys could not be appreciated as well. Because when we started our term back in April, we had the handover ceremony in front of all the club excos.
Yes.
So we got a little bit of exposure from there, but SSSC 2020 did not get the same exposure. I did write a message in the club presidents group, but that was a text, so it wasn't a visual welcoming.
Right.
It's disappointing, but I'm pretty sure you guys are going to prove yourselves in the next new term.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that.
Aw. Well, thank you. And how did you feel during the inauguration as well? Was that huge sigh of relief in addition to being emotional as well?
Definitely, I would say, because SSSC was by far the most challenging thing that I've got myself into.
Oh, wow.
And that too as a position of the president, as an exco.
Right. Coming from an engineering student, that's a compliment.
Yes. It's one of the most challenging things that I've ever done.
Yeah.
And it was an eye-opening thing for me. Plus, now that I'm done with it, I know how many things that I don't know, and what I need to improve upon. But as soon as I found out that when the semester started, we all knew that March 31st that's when we're stepping down, and I couldn't be happier. It's a contradicting statement though. I couldn't be happier. At the same time, I was leaving the team, leaving the group,
right?
Not being able to work with the students, or not as in work with them, but organizing events. So,
right.
Leaving everything.
Right. But I think the inauguration, even though it was done online, it had to be done. It's not like everyone had a choice, but it was also still emotional, even though I couldn't join the inauguration.
Yes, you were the only member that could not join.
I'm sorry.
Did the children turn off the router or something like
No.
that?
No, the children in my apartment did not turn off the router. It was, I think we had weak connection because I live in the area in Kuching that's relatively new. So our internet connection sometimes it's very bipolar. Sometimes it's really low, sometimes it's the best thing in the world. On that day, it happened to be really bad. And we heard that Triple SC 2019 was dressed in matchy white costumes. So we decided to take on black. So I sat here in my favorite black dress and I couldn't connect in the end. So I just ended up showing support from the WhatsApp group chat. It was sad. Is it true though? I heard that Kevin shared some love stories.
Love stories.
Yeah.
I mean, he did deliver a well written speech, but about love, I can't remember anything about love though.
Okay, someone might have been just pulling my leg though. The Triple SE 2020, they're very cute and playful like that.
And I mean, you guys are a mixed bunch,
Yeah.
Plus, it's a good mix of nationals, I guess. So.
That's true, indeed. Okay, so as I was talking to you just now, I did say that a lot of us didn't know you, but when we did get to know you, we liked you immediately. But that's the thing. I think because you were president of Triple SC, you already have like a spotlight on you, and then your whole team had another spotlight on them. And because of the fact that some of us did not know you, the spotlight intensified. So maybe you knew this, or maybe you did not know this. But when you guys were running around behind the scenes doing events, people were actually watching you guys and taking note of these things, me included. So it was really, yeah, it was really hard for us to come up with like a prediction to what your answer could be for this next question. But I wanted to ask you, what was your one hardest event to handle? Because we saw you running around for all the events, even for prom. You were seated with the VIPs because you were supposed to entertain the VIPs, but girl, I was walking around. I saw you under the table having to check up on your crew and make sure everything is okay. So in your opinion, what was your one hardest event to handle? And pick wisely because we have to prepare for these events, Obaid. I'm just saying.
Okay. Do I speak collectively or do I speak personally?
How about both? Let's do it personally first and then collectively.
Okay. Personally speaking, for me, myself, and the hardest event for me would be the cultural night.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I was the OC for global stage as well as the vice OC for culture nights. So and I had to look after quite a lot of things as well, like performers. That's a huge thing in and of itself.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then I had to look at the other aspects as well. So we're talking about F&B, food and beverages, and then we're talking about the stage and like everything, the slideshows and whatnot.
Everything.
And of course, my team, they helped tremendously in that sense. But that was one event where my planning skills were tested to the max, I would say. And I would say collectively, our very first event, which was Carnival plus the the night concert.
Oh.
So that was our first major event as a team, and we were shown how we in that sense. So that was our first major event. After that event we found out like where we had flawed, and the event didn't turn out as well as we wanted to. But yeah, so collectively it would be the night concert plus the carnival.
Right.
And because it was the first event, and I was kind of low key expecting it to be not so great, because
right.
that's what we all know, right?
Yes.
You kind of fail somewhat, and then you learn from those experiences. Personally, for me, it was the culture night.
Right. Okay. Well, that's fair to say, I guess. I didn't expect culture night to be your hardest event because I thought that you guys pulled it off really well. So good job. Kudos.
Yeah, I mean, it was a collective performance, I would say. I mean, even my team did well. I mean, they did amazingly. And the performers as well. I mean, you guys, even you were part of the performers.
Oh my God,
stop. You guys incorporated well with us. So,
yeah.
Win-win situation for all of us.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of difficult things to talk about, we have reached our hashtag milk tea segment. So you know that millennials we have this instead of saying drama, we say, "Oh, spill the tea." So
Yes.
yeah. So for this segment, we're going to come up with a bunch of hard to talk about topics for you to answer. Typically, we were planning on talking to the rest of the student body through social media and getting their insights, but because this is our first podcast, it had to be under wraps. This whole podcast was a surprise, so we couldn't really ask anyone, but we did try our best and we dug out some questions from our friends in Swinburne very discreetly. So, are you ready, ex President Obaid, for this burning question?
This looks spicy. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. The problem with Cultural Night 2019. Wow. Okay, what a coincidence. There was some after event occurrences that took place at the venue. Do you know what they're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So this is like right after the event ended, right?
Yes. It
Yes,
was.
yes.
Yeah, so it was this little dramatic scene with the zoom in and the zoom outs and the pauses and the changing screen color thing, like the Indian dramas do. So we would like to hear. Would you like to clear the air on any speculations related to exactly what happened that day?
So is it like right? I mean, I remember the post event, the celebration thing. I remember that one. But which part are you talking about exactly? Is it the changing slideshows or something?
The cleanup session.
Okay, so yes, I remember I got into an argument with a good friend of mine about that.
Oh no.
So, and I mean, we were chill after that. I mean, the very next day we met, at a restaurant, and we were laughing about it. But the thing what happened was is I mean, we have the speakers right in front, right on the stage, right?
Right.
And the thing that we were scared of was what happened if the powder, if it damaged the speakers.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Yeah.
And if that happened, Triple would have been responsible for that.
That's so true.
And that thing what happened was right at the end. It was expected that only the performers would throw the powder.
Mm-hmm.
So that was their finishing move, I would say.
Yeah.
But then things went out of control, and once everything ended, I think everyone was
on stage,
extremely excited.
Yeah.
And everyone just jumped on stage.
Yeah.
Like even the audience, and then they threw everything everywhere.
Yeah.
And even I think the members as well, they just picked up the ball and they threw it everywhere, on everyone. And I think some of the organizing committee, like some of our members, they got kind of
agitated.
I would say agitated,
yeah.
Because I mean, we did not expect the whole MPH to be covered in powder. We thought it was just going to be the stage.
Yeah.
So it was everyone was, plus our team was kind of tired as well, because I mean, even though as what most of the audience they enjoyed the performance, the organizing committee,
yeah,
we were still the outlook, if anything,
that's true.
If anything wrong happened,
yeah.
So our eyes were glued on the audience and on the flow of the event, rather than on the performances. So we had to make sure everything was going smoothly. So I think by the end of the event, by the end of the night, everyone was tired.
Yeah.
So when the powder was everywhere, I think one of our members, we got, and even myself, we were like, okay, I mean, we have to clean everything for ourselves. But then we asked the performers to help out with the cleaning as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, the performers were really kind enough, so we kind of cleaned the whole place together. But yeah, I had a long argument with my friend, like right on the spot.
Oh, okay. Well, I was there and I can vouch that actually I think the cleanup session was agreed upon much earlier, because I think that final performance was pushed as the final performance because we knew it was going to get slightly messy. Again, we didn't expect all the audience to join everyone on stage, but the performance did agree that to help out with the cleaning session afterwards. So I think there was actually not much of a problem aside from that friend. I think he's a mutual friend to all of us. He's a very nice person. Shout out to that nice person listening to this.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, he really sided with the performers,
Mhm.
and I agreed with them. On one hand, he was right. Why do the performers have to clean it by themselves? And then I told him, I mean, it was already agreed, just as you said, it was already agreed by the team and the performers that, okay, I mean, you guys threw the powder, so you guys, clean it up.
Totally.
But then on the other side, he was correct, because it wasn't just the performers that, messed up the whole stage. It was also a large part of the audience that just came up, they picked up the powder, and, they just threw it everywhere, and then once everything ended, they just ran out. We couldn't pinpoint the people that actually threw the powder.
There was more than
we knew
50.
that, okay, it was done by the people responsible with the performers.
Yeah.
So the least that we could do was we helped you guys as well. So even our members, the Triple S members, we joined with you guys, and we were like, okay, let's help clean them up.
Yeah, you did.
It was also a fault of some of the audience members. But at the end of the day, they got excited, and I guess it's just something that we have to pay,
Yeah, I think, yes, that's true. But it went pretty well. Everyone had only good things to say about that event. And I think the coming Triple SCs have learned from that. It's obviously we have to be careful with the equipment that we've somewhat rented outside. But at the same time, people want like entertainment. And especially when it's live like that, throwing powder and all, they were involved and they seem to like it. We just have to be more careful about it. But yes, you guys have taught us a lot of big lessons, Obaid, so thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Picking up on that point about the equipment, I mean, you guys are going to learn as you go.
Right.
But hopefully this whole lockdown is lifted, when semester two starts. So hopefully you guys can, go to some physical events. So you guys also feel some of the pressure, I would say.
Yeah.
So it gets fun while working out of pressure.
That would be fun actually, yeah. Especially when we start to rely on each other as a team. That's really nice. Yeah.
Exactly. That's when you actually come together as a team. Yeah, understand how you guys work together.
Ooh, you're making me excited. Next question related to this event is, I can vouch that this is not true, but rumors say that it got physical, the fight. No, it didn't.
But during the cleanup session?
Yeah.
No. It was definitely not physical.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, I was there, so.
I mean, is the person referring to the argument?
I think so. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I think, yeah. The argument itself. I'm pretty sure it did not get physical. I was there. So I can vouch for that.
It wasn't physical at all. I mean, it was an argument, and then even when things got heated up, it was like sorted out immediately afterwards. So like I think within a couple of minutes, or I think 5-10 minutes, we kind of came up to the performers, and I think we apologized if anything came out harshly. So it was kind of sorted right there and then.
Right.
But there was nothing physical about the cleanup session.
Yeah, there was nothing physical, true. Have you ever even been in a physical fight in your life, though?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna ask you because there was a physical fight that almost broke out in a recent event on campus before the NCO. So many of us wanted to go in and stop the fight because I knew the two people who were involved. They were not actually like fighting per se, but they were about to. They started yelling. I wanted to step in, but I also knew that if I did step in, I would get thrown off my feet and start rolling away like the potato that I am. I can already hear the chorus of Riding Dirty in the background. They see me rolling. I hate it. Yeah, we were just too scared. But I mean, if you have any tips to stop a physical fight, if you ever have, I think we would all like that kind of education that they don't teach us in school.
So you're asking me what I do?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I've not been in a fight, as in I've never fought anyone physically.
Right.
But I have stopped many fights. So I think number one would be, if you want to stop a fight, I mean, the first thing would be, the first question to ask yourself would be, do you know the person, or do you know the people that are fighting?
Right.
So if you know them, then it would be perfect time to just get into the middle of it, and before anything gets physical, you kind of just push the other person, push any one of them, just separate them. So because the more that they trash talk each other, the more it's going to heat up, and you never know who's going to throw the first punch. So you kind of just grab their person, because when someone's angry, they go super saiyan.
Oh, wow.
They actually have 200% more power than they normally have. So you kind of just push them back, hold them together, and you just start talking to them. And it would be better if you have someone with you that would. So you grab one person, and the other person grabs the other person. So you kind of separate them, and you kind of calm them down. Kind of just hug them and push them back, and just try to, what are you guys doing? This is stupid. You guys are gonna regret this later on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I got this from.
That's how I've stopped fights before. Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is to keep them away, the second thing is to calm them down, and the third thing is to talk them out of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you just do that. So you talk them out of it by saying, what are you doing? This is stupid, and you guys are gonna regret this later on. And just say things to calm them down. Divert their attention from the moment.
This is awesome. I can't wait to break up more fights in my lifetime. Because
be careful though. I mean, if they're already physical, and if you see that they're stronger than you are, I mean, physically, you can make a guess, an educated guess.
Yes.
If they're much more stronger than you, then I would say, and they've already begun fighting, I would say try to keep your distance. But if you can, I mean, at least just by saying something, it's better than not just standing there and watching.
Right. And probably just shout like, "Stop that! You like potatoes!" And probably do something like that from the side.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps. I don't know. But that's the thing. I wanted to know because, we were just too scared at that moment. And I think life is too short to stare at scary things in the face and not do anything about it. So thank you, Obaid. Now I have something to do, something to make myself feel important with if a fight were to break out in front of me. Thank you.
No worries.
Well, that marks the end of this segment. Thank you, Obaid, for your insight and wisdom. Moving on to the topic of our conversation.
Nice.
Yes, as you mentioned earlier, and we talked about the MCO, the SSSC 2020 committee did not actually have time to bond with each other physically. Okay, that sounds wrong. I mean, we didn't get to bond face to face because within 2 weeks of the commencement of our semester, the MCO was imposed. It was even before the inauguration. So I had known some of the people there already due to prior events, but some of them I had only met during our first interaction. And then, people were coming up with these beautiful ideas for the events. Everyone was still getting to know one another. Of course, now we're not like BFFs, but like, we're still being nice and polite to each other and coming up with systems not to speak over each other. My question is, for us, it was the MCO. For you, was there something that was equivalent to the MCO that kept you guys apart? As in, did you also go through something of this sort in the beginning of your reign as 2019's SSSC? Was there some communication barriers that happened because you were not that close yet?
I mean, there was nothing that was this extreme as the MCO.
Right.
Because I think the first when we got inducted into the council, that was, I think, if I'm not wrong, it was the beginning of February or something like that.
You're right.
We were invited or put into a WhatsApp group, and we were asked to pick your positions, and everyone just like dominoes, like we just perfectly fit into our positions without any contesting.
Oh wow!
So positions, and I think I was the only international. Yeah, I was the only international in the committee and the excos group.
Right.
So, but we had other people that were further apart. So, people were from different states, even in Malaysia. So before the physical meeting with each other, we had this communication barrier.
Right.
Because I was not in Malaysia at the time, but the work had already. So there were club recruitment drives going on, and some other minor things that were needed to be done. And some of our members were already doing that. So our creative and marketing head, Joanne, at the time, she was already preparing some posters and all that. And couldn't actually do much. I mean, especially me, I was also doing my internship.
Right.
So even though I was president at the time, I didn't start work officially until I came in March. I think that was the biggest communication barrier that we had. But then, as we all came back to Kuching, I think it was the first week we met up and we kind of got to know each other. And then during leadership camp, that's when we actually bonded over a period of 2 days.
Oh.
Yeah, and then after that, just connection just grew stronger and stronger. Yeah. But there was nothing as severe as the MCO. So I kind of feel for you guys.
Oh, stop. It's cool because now, we kind of, obviously it's not the same as interacting face to face. We have to replace all of that with emojis and heart shapes very often to make sure that, because if just say I'm not listening to your voice right now and I said I hate you, you would actually think I hate you if I typed it out. But if I type it out with a laughing face and a heart shape, you're like, oh my god, she's just kidding. She's like my BFF, like that.
Yeah. I mean, it completely changed the context.
Yes, exactly. So, but we're working on it, and I think we're getting closer than ever now. I feel like they're family as well, and I'm actually very excited about that because you told me when I first entered Triple SC that these people will become your family eventually, and it's actually happening. It's so beautiful.
I mean, if it's happened already, then that's amazing.
Yeah, it's in progress. Yeah. Okay. Well, what advice do you have for us moving forward post MCO? Like now and after the MCO is finished, because of us not being able to bond, do you have any advice for us?
So as soon as the MCO ends, I mean, speculation has it that it might go on until the end of May. Probably it might even enter June.
Yeah.
And by that time, most of us are already, we will already have been working towards our final projects or assignments or our final exams. So I think everyone's going to be busy doing that. But if most of you guys are still in coaching, like after final assessments have been finished, I would say to kind of keep in touch because you guys would still need to, host events in the next semester.
Right, until March.
Organize small meetups, and since you guys won't have anything to do, I mean, if you guys don't have any plans during the semester break, you guys can, start meetings outside of the campus. Probably go outside, just like we did. Start to plan towards the next semester events. Big meetup over dinner, over coffee.
Oh, that's nice.
Maybe, I don't know, like plan a small trip somewhere. But you guys would, since you guys did not have your leadership camp this semester, I think you guys are probably going to have one next semester, hopefully.
Oh, yes. Yeah, probably. Right.
But yeah, I mean, if you guys, don't have any plans for the semester break, you guys can, meet up probably every weekend, or, you guys decide a day during the week. You guys meet up, probably, relax for a while, have a laugh, and then, casually plan for what's to come for next semester, so that not everything, is, piled up on you during the semester starts. So kind of pace it out a bit.
Okay, that's a good idea. It's like a difference from working in the schooling environment. So we take it outside and have a little bit of fun while discussing these things. That's a really good idea. Thank you, Obaid.
Yep, no worries.
Well, there you have it, beautiful people. Thank you, Obaid, so much for taking time to join us for this little virtual podcast. I still have to work on the audio quality, but until then, this is what we have to work with. Would you like to say something before we end our session?
Thank you so much for having me, Potato.
Oh, you're welcome.
And, I mean, this is actually a really good initiative that you guys have taken.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually pretty excited to hear and see what you guys have in store for us students like us. So I mean, this is a pretty good start.
Right.
And all the best to you guys. I mean, I'm waiting. I'm excited to see what's. Yeah.
Thanks, Obaid. Well, this interview has been very educational, if I may say so myself. Stay beautiful and don't fall down, okay?
Thank you. You too, Potato. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Well, to the listeners, stay tuned to get to know Triple SC 2020's representative and see what she has to say. Bye. The end and cut.
And the advice the radio jockey gave me is when you speak for all this kind of like interviews and everything, like if you're speaking on a mic and not speak, you should speak with a smile, then your voice comes really nice.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh my god, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna keep smiling. Just, yes, queen.
Yeah, then it feels like more lively. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. That's a good tip. What if my cheeks start to hurt from all the smiling though?
No, when you're not speaking, you don't have to smile.
Oh. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is a podcast by Triple SC. Woo! I am Potato and I like potatoes. I hope you're all safe at home. We have been graced by the wonderful presence of Triple SC 2020's VP, the one, the only, the beautiful Lamia. Pew, 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 pew.
I'm just so overwhelmed with your introduction. It's so nice.
Oh, thank you. I was so scared. Honestly, I was very nervous about giving you an introduction because everyone already knows you.
No, not like that.
I don't want to get my wee snatched, okay? But for those who don't know you though, would you like to introduce yourself?
So, hello everyone. My name is Lamia, but I'm pretty sure a few of the people know me as Raptri. I know it's very confusing for people to when they hear that I have two names, but yeah, that is currently the Vice President of SSSC 2020. I'm doing chemical engineering and currently in my third year. And yeah, and I love talking, so that's the whole reason why I am doing this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yes, Queen. Yes, we are so glad to have you. That was great. It was very natural. I liked it. How have you been, girl?
Yeah, so far good, but a bit bored. I mean, I have already lost the count how many days it has been I'm trapped inside. But since there's nothing to do, we have to stay home for our own safety. So yeah, I'm just trying to make the most out of it and just do random things and do the things which I thought like maybe 2-3 years I would do, but I didn't do because I didn't have time, and now I have all the time. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Is your schedule messed up though?
Yeah, big time. I actually don't have any proper timing because since my lectures are almost like all the lectures are pre-recorded, so it's like I can hear the lectures anytime I want, so I don't have any time.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'm just eating my lunch and probably listening to my lectures, or maybe doing something random and then listening to my lectures. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, it's like, I know it's very weird. We just have to do what is necessary. So yeah.
Yeah, the MCO has changed a lot of things for us, which I will actually talk about in the interview. But before that, I want to talk about how you and I actually met at our orientation together.
Oh yeah, the first time. Oh, by the way, I'm really mad that we didn't have a proper orientation, and now everyone is getting a proper orientation. How cool is that, right?
That's so true.
I still remember it was just a one-day thing, and it was fun.
There was no food. There was
nothing.
But
nowadays it's more fun actually, the orientation.
Yes, and I think we will also make a better set of orientation with changes and everything. I saw VP also does a good job with the orientations. It's very impressive.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but yes, every now and then, whenever people talk about orientation and say it has to be grand, and then I'll just drop a bomb and say, I had a horrible one. Just saying.
Yeah. And remember, we all were walking to Spring, and yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, because they didn't give us food.
Yeah, so we had to go out and eat, then come back again. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think most of us who are from the same orientation, we're still friends until now.
Yeah, that's I think one of the parts of having like a small orientation. You actually know everyone, and yeah, it's good that we're still in touch with everyone.
Yes, that's so true.
And now we ended up in the same team. That's also great.
Yes, Queen. Okay, for those who don't know, I call Ratri Queen a lot. I call a lot of people Queen, but Ratri is like Queen, you know, like she walks
no,
in
now
and
you're just like exaggerating the thing, you know,
I'm just
and
being
making me a
honest.
little bit embarrassed.
Okay, I can't turn red. I'm always brown for some reason.
Oh, please, I'm also brown. It's okay. You know, this is the time brown girls need to rule.
Yes, yes, that is so true. Speaking of girls, I was actually going to bring this up later, but I want to talk about how the new Triple SC 2020 has such a large amount of female leaders.
Yeah, I know. It makes me feel so happy to see. Wow, there's so many girls.
Yeah, it's very and actually, like, I was kind of nervous when I joined Triple SC because I thought our first meeting would be a bit overwhelming, but it ended up being so nice and nourishing because everyone's just so nice to each other.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can be friends for a long time, not only just for a year, but yeah, for the rest of our time in Swinburne.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, back to the topic again. I'm so sorry. I get distracted a lot.
It's okay. Even I get distracted a lot.
Yes. The first time I met you was, again, like I said, in orientation. And ever since the day I met you, you were always involved in different events by Swinburne. You were either volunteering or in charge of different departments or managing events. I think, yeah, that was something that
Yeah.
everybody knew about you. Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask you, what event were you looking forward to the most in our traditional, like, face-to-face setting that Swinburne would have?
I would say international festival because I remember when I came, that was the first event which I got to attend. It was like probably the next day of my joining. The event was there, and when I got to meet everyone, and in general, I really like the idea that all the cultures are like showcased in such a nice way, and you know, it feels like that the whole world is brought in a small place. So it felt really good, and I was like, okay, from next year, I really need to be a part of this international festival. And last year, I had the opportunity to both be a committee, like organizing committee, and also be a participant for it. So yeah, it was like I got to experience both. So, yeah. But this year, I'm really excited because now I get to arrange it.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we're all excited for that because during meetings you had such great ideas and the team was contributing such like fantastic ideas. But
yeah,
that was going to be
hopefully we can do a bit of twist this time and make it more happening.
Okay. I think you almost like have a little bit of sneak peek there, but we shall save that for a bigger surprise.
Yes.
Okay.
And the surprise will be great.
You're making me excited even though I already know what the surprise is. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Speaking of these events, now that the MCO has been imposed, all our plans had to somehow change and alter. What about now that we have to replan our future events, but around the MCO? Did it change your outlook on excitement of our future events because of this?
To be honest, initially, yeah, it was like it was in the like the first stage of the MCO. It was all like I was all anxious and worrying that how things will change, and you know, after the semester was declared as like the whole semester will be online, there won't be any physical classes. But then it's like we are human beings. We should always know how to make the best out of the bad situation. So this MCO shouldn't actually change the excitement for the events. Obviously, we will have to try and change the events and make it the way it is necessary, but that shouldn't make us less happy because we will be doing what we can do. So yeah, for me, in the beginning, it was a bit, I wasn't happy, but now it's okay.
Oh, you are
At least now we have our online activities going on, so it's not like that completely we don't have anything and just sitting and doing nothing.
Yeah, that's so true. But you are so wise. I'm just here rolling around in my potatoes. Not because of you, I will change my schedule. You have inspired me.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I can do that.
But speaking of the MCO and all of this, I want to ask a question that I have been waiting to ask. It's about the less dramatic inauguration of the new student council that took place online. Usually it has this grand setting, like a red carpet and this magnificent entrance with paparazzi and everything. But now it was done online, and obviously there was no choice. But how did the official transition of power feel? Because in the beginning of the year, it was still under 2019's SSSC. How did this transition feel for you?
I was nervous, actually.
Oh, wow.
Because officially you're getting everything handled, and I was a bit nervous. But then, speaking of the thing that you mentioned, that previously it was all physical and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? We will get to say that we had our online Passover handover. Like, everyone will know that, okay, 2020 had this handover online, and it was great and it was okay. And especially that we could just sit at home not worry about what to wear and what to do, and just sit there and have the handover session. So
it was good. I think we broke a record.
And now it feels like that, I have a big response on my shoulder.
Well, I mean, okay, that's another thing I was going to talk about. This podcast is flowing really well because every time I ask you a question, it just leads me to my next question.
Do I jump from places to places, or
No, it's actually flowing perfectly.
Okay.
You talked about how the transition made you feel and all of that. And the reason I asked this was actually because, like I said, in the beginning of 2020, 2019's SSSC was still in charge, right? But I think when our semester 1 started, which started in March, it was only the 4 excos for SSSC 2020 that had been determined so far. Kevin, our president, you, our vice president, who was on internship at that time in KL, and then Ying, the sit-in treasurer, and Davina, our sit-in secretary. You guys, even though you were not physically there, in Swinburne at that time, you managed to plan the entire O-week intake, the whole of the orientation. Yeah, that was impressive. Okay, of course there were feedback and all that jazz. That happens with every event. But for only 4 people and one of them not physically being there, it was so impressive that you guys managed to have the whole event. But at first, of course, people were saying, oh, the food is weird, or this is that. But when everyone sat down during the feedback session and realized only 4 people were in charge for something that usually takes an entire team, everyone was like, oh, if that's the case, y'all did great. And they started clapping.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. But that was your literal introduction for what was to come for the rest of the year. Because
true.
Yeah. So what was the first thing that came to your mind when you heard at that time that you were in charge of such a big event as your introduction to your role as a SSSC vice president?
For me, it was okay because I have done leads before, and I have been a part of the organizing committee before.
Mm-hmm.
So I had I wouldn't say an exact idea, because over the years, knowing weeks have always been changing. There's been new additions and something has been cut off.
Yeah.
And last year I wasn't doing much for the knowing week. So it was I wouldn't say that I knew everything, but I at least had an idea. But for the other 3, it was kind of a new, and it was overwhelming for them as well. But I would say that the other 3 did really, really good, and I'm really happy that they pulled it off so well.
Yeah.
And I tried my best to since I wasn't physically present here, so through WhatsApp, whatever information they needed and whatever help they needed, we were planning and everything. So I was I didn't take it as a pressure, because normally when I take things as pressures, I know I will just mess it up. So I just always try to be calm and cool as much as possible, even though I cannot be. But I just try my best, and we just gave it our best, not thinking much that how the outcome will be, because as you mentioned, we were only 4, so we just tried to do our best and make the knowing week memorable.
These are some signs of a great leader. I'm just saying. Okay.
Okay, now you're making me more red,
Okay, but in the process of that, a shout out to Kevin, Ying, and Davina as well for doing such a great
thank
job.
you so much. And well, that guy.
Yes. I wonder if they're listening to this. I hope they are. Maybe we
Yeah,
can
they
tell
better
them.
be.
We can tell them to like comment down below or something like that, right? That would be cool if they were listening.
Yeah, true.
Okay. In regards to those events, did things like the time, the minimal amount of time that was given to you to carry out this event, and the fact that you were so far away, did that actually change the way the event was supposed to go? Did it disrupt your process?
Yeah, to some extent, because obviously when you are present physically, you are seeing, then you make changes as you see things. But when you are not physically present, you are just like communicating through WhatsApp. And even during the event, I was working because it was daytime, so I couldn't help them much. Also because my workplace was kind of strict, so
Oh my god.
if I was working, so I couldn't reply them on time. So it was like maybe they're talking about something, and by the time I saw the messages, I mean, they already had solved this issue or something. So yeah, if I was physically present, I don't know, I wouldn't say that the event would be successful or something, but maybe I could have helped much. And
Well, that's great. You were multitasking. Oh my god, that's so beautiful. It's inspirational, girl.
thank you.
Okay. Did this introduction to the Triple SC events have a toll on how you felt about the transition of power? Did you feel a little bit? Did you feel less stressed to an extent about the transition of power because you kind of knew what the rest of the year had in store for your duty as a Triple SC vice president because of this event? Okay.
Yes, I would say for me, because I mean, I wouldn't say that I knew exactly, but since I was working with Triple SC on International Festival and the ex vice president being my friend, so I actually knew that okay, there are certain responsibilities and there are certain responsibilities you need to fulfill, and you need to be responsible for this. So it's the name vice president sounds fancy. It is fancy, but you shouldn't just take it just because you want to take it or it sounds fancy. With this comes a lot of responsibilities as well, and since you are being a part of a council which has a lot of works to do, you should know what you are doing. So for me, it was like, yeah, I actually knew that okay, there will be this kind of things going on. So, and for me personally, it's not only for the council, but whenever I'm doing something, I want to know that what I'm signing up for, I should know a bit of it, so that later when I'm doing that, I just don't get overwhelmed. Oh, there's so much to do, or there's so much responsibilities, or there's these things I didn't know about. So yeah, it was okay. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's true though, because a lot of people who want to join Triple SC, some of them don't know how to sign up. And those who do sign up because they want all the benefits, not because of how passionate they are about their role. But it's really nice to know that you took it up because you actually knew what was in, you kind of knew that it was a responsible role, but you took it up anyway. And what was your major again?
Chemical engineering.
I have no idea how you're surviving right now. I would not be. I'm in business and I'm already like flailing around. Wow.
My results will say. Hopefully, I can manage both the roles.
You've been doing a great job so far, so I think you got it down.
Okay, thank you with all your support, because I have such a wonderful team. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. In regard to that, how do people actually become part of Triple SC? Because I think there's more than one method to it, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically, if you want to apply for EXCO as in the 4 positions, the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. So if you want to apply for those 4 positions, by the end, I think before the finals, there will be announcements. By the November, if the finals is in December, I think by the end of November, there will be announcements that you can actually put your
Nominees?
yeah. For the elections, because we always have an election. So there are few criteria. So if you fulfill all the criteria, you can submit your resume and all those things. And if you fulfill all the criteria, then you can be a part of the election. So then there will be an election. That's how the EXCOs are recruited basically. So the EXCOs are basically recruited by the beginning of January or by the end of December, because the election happens before the end of semester, so obviously you already know the answer, so they are already recruited and they are prepared for the coming years. However, for the committee members, there will be like posts on Instagram, Facebook, then I think the email also.
Yes.
Yeah. So they will email that there are these positions and we are recruiting and everything, and then if you fulfill the criteria, then you go through interview, and then if you pass the interview, you're selected.
Yes.
And there's another part. If there's subcommittee also.
Right.
But the subcommittee are basically selected during March and April. Yeah. So then there will be another announcement by the subcommittee, and then the same procedure. If you fulfill the criteria, you are called for interview. Then if you pass it, you're in the.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then we should tell all the listeners to stay tuned and keep track of their student webmail so that they can actually nominate and vote. Because I think the last time, people were unaware that the voting was happening.
Yeah.
There was another thing I wanted to talk about. I remember when we first came to Swinburne, we came in October, right? The October intake.
2017.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, it's been 3 years.
No, 2.5, right?
Okay, 2.5, yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When we came then, I think they had an election going on at that time.
Yeah.
And they had yeah, it was very grand because they had like something like a campaign for each nominee, and then they had
and there were like posters all around the campus.
Maybe we should do that next time. That might lure a lot of attention, and people might be like, oh my gosh, there's a president that we can vote for. That's so cool. All right. Well, we got a great set of answers from our current vice president of SSSC 2020. Before we end the podcast, do you have any last words? Okay, sorry, that sounds dramatic. Would you like to say something to the listeners before we end the podcast?
I would say thank you so much if you're listening, and you better listen because we are putting a lot of effort to give you some entertainment during the NCO period. So thank you so much. And if you want to share with your friends, please share. And keep an eye on our social media for our upcoming events. And do join our events. I'm sure you will love it because each of our team member actually put a lot of effort in making the events. I don't know, when you organize the events, it's a different perspective, and when you attend, it's a different perspective.
True.
So you do attend the events and see how it goes. Give your feedbacks if you have opinions how to make our events better, and keep supporting us. Hopefully we will have wonderful events for you, and if you have any queries or if you have any concerns, you can always knock on our Instagram or Facebook or even email us. We have our official email, so we always check the email. So if you have any concerns, any difficulties during this MCO period, you can just email us or knock us and let your queries known to us. We'll try. I cannot promise that all your queries and all your problems can be solved, but we will try our best to help you as much as we can. And stay home, stay safe.
Okay, thank you for that honest outro. No false promises. Yes, that's the kind of relationship we have. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting carried away again. Okay, well, with that, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast session. If you want to get updates and notified whenever we release new podcast, you know the drill. This show was brought to you by SSSC, by the students, for the students. This was Potato. Until next time, stay beautiful and don't fall down.